G'day guys and welcome back to another episode of the Takin It Easy podcast. Alongside me, of course, I have Rowan.
That's it, guys. We're back for another episode, another lockdown episode.
I know, another lockdown episode, and this one is a little bit different. We've been interviewing a lot of people, but we haven't really talked much about ourselves, Rowan and I realized. So we're going to take a trip down memory lane for this episode. You guys can kind of get to know us a little bit more. What do you think?
Exactly right. Well, I totally agree. We really haven't said a lot about where we come from or how we've met or where we grew up and everything like that. So, like you said, trip down memory lane, and we're gonna see if you guys can get to know us a little bit more. So hopefully you can relate a little bit more to our podcast and opinions, I guess. What do you reckon?
Yeah, exactly, man. So let's go back all the way to the start, Rowan. You're a Canberra boy, the capital of Australia, which bear in mind, not many people know because, a lot of people will it's like how, when you grow up, you think, oh, USA, Washington, DC, capital, Australia, wouldn't the capital be Sydney or Australia? No, it's Canberra. You're a Canberra boy, Rowan.
That's it.
How was it growing down there, man?
So born and bred Canberra boy, born at St. John James Hospital in 2002, March 21st. So if you guys want to send me a present next year, feel free.
Yeah, of course. Presents, please. Give them the address.
Literally, born in Canberra to my parents, Tony Purnell and Paul O'Callaghan. And it was, to be honest, it was a great childhood, man. Growing up in Canberra, it's very bushy. We have.
So when you grew up, were you on a lot of space, a lot of acres or anything, or were you still in one of those just normal houses?
So we lived in a place called Warramanga in Western Creek, and we did have a pretty big house. I'm not gonna lie, we had a pretty big house, pretty big backyard, enough for a trampoline, soccer goals. We had a whole loft area and basketball court and stuff like that. So it was a pretty big house. But I mean, a house like that in Sydney probably goes for about $12 million. But then
Mate, I'd probably say 20. It's crazy.
But in Canberra it goes for about 400,000. So if young people are looking to move, go to Canberra. It's very, very, very good for pricing.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty big house for the four of us. My younger brother included, Ollie. But I loved growing up in Canberra, near the bush, near the snow, near the Brindabellas. All my family was there as well. So I remember just being a little kid going mountain bike riding up at Mount Stromlo, or taking hikes up in the Brindabellas, riding to school, going out to see my friends, going fishing, going yabbying as well, in little local ponds and stuff. I did scouts as well, so I was always out and about. I love being out and about. Never knew this. Yeah, well, I didn't actually get a phone until I was in year 6.
I didn't get a phone until I was in year 7. Yeah, but so, kids nowadays, man, they've got them when they're in kindergarten. It's absurd.
I know, it is. And I mean, I'm so grateful I didn't get a phone until, year 6, because looking back, I appreciate my childhood much more. And the things I'm doing now, I just bought myself a new mountain bike. I'm channeling back to the roots.
And a drone, by the way. And a drone. Is that next to you at the moment?
The drone is next to me, actually.
Rowan,
so it's pretty cool.
So Rowan and I went drone flying yesterday with my drone, and he literally came back and he's like, "Yep, I'm getting a drone." The day after, gets a DJI Spark.
That's it.
You get shit done.
So it was just kind of getting all these things now. I really appreciate how much my childhood, how outdoors it was, and just how it was so adventurous. I could do whatever I wanted pretty much whenever. And the friends I still talk to are still my best friends. So even when I moved up to Sydney, every time I go down, I still talk to them, and they've been my friends since I was, in year 3 and year 4, and we'll put a photo up of me. I was quite chubby in year 3 and year 4, and my hair was all over the place. But no, you know what? I had a really great childhood, man. I had great family around me, and my nan as well. Shout out to my nan. She's one of the most adventurous persons ever. And I remember always going to her house after primary school, and we'd always stop past the.
She's on the farm.
No, not quite. This was still in Canberra. So I remember. I think one of the reasons for me being a little bit on the chubbier side, it's not a bad thing now.
Nan treated you too well, mate.
But she's just so nice. I remember when she picked us up from primary school, a couple of times a week we'd go past, the IGA, and we'd get a whole bag of chips to ourselves and pies and sausage rolls, and then we'd go back to her house and indulge in a couple of scoops of ice cream and smoothies and more food and everything like that. But I've been very blessed to have a great adventurous family around me, and grow up in Canberra. And I'm a Sydney boy now, but I'll always appreciate, the outdoorsiness in Canberra, and
you always be a Canberra boy. Yeah, that's your roots.
I'll always be a Canberra boy, and I know every time someone asks me, oh, like, where are you from? And I say, oh, well, I was born in Canberra. Like, well, Canberra's just an absolute shithole. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Everyone in Sydney thinks Canberra's a shithole. But
I've been to
it
Canberra
is
twice,
not.
and I actually have no bad memories of Canberra. Really, I actually love Canberra.
See,
It's fucking freezing though. Like it is cold. It gets cold in winter.
Settle down, Sydney boy. See,
But it's crazy though. You can be three hours more south, and it just like it's so much colder down there.
That's the thing. It's like it's so much closer to like Thredbo Parish, and it's more inland and on. Oh, it's got more elevation as well. So I mean, the further you come in inland, and the higher you go, obviously the colder it's going to get. You know, like just out of Sydney, the Blue Mountains. Blue Mountains, man. A couple of hours out of Sydney, you know, it snows there sometimes. You know, it gets freezing temperatures as well. So
above sea level,
exactly. But I mean, everyone from Sydney who said they've been to Canberra, the only things they say, oh yeah, I remember I went to Canberra and we went to Questacon and I dropped down the massive slide. Oh, and I touched some like electro ball that electrocuted my hair everywhere. Or I went to, you know, the National Museum. You know, that's the thing. All these people in Sydney, they go to the
tourist experience.
The tourist attractions, right? But every time I go down, I'm very lucky because I know all these like secluded spots, whether that be, you know, the Yarralumla Dam or all these little bits and bobs, you know, down at certain creeks and stuff. You can literally go into the river and have a swim and, you know, go yabbying in these little places and everything, bro. And I'm so privileged because every time I go down, I have an absolute blast. But every time someone from Sydney goes down who doesn't really know anyone, you know, they just get to the tourist stuff, and that's about it. So no, I've been very blessed to have an upbringing in Canberra, man.
Yeah. So you'd say you've had one of the more adventurous childhoods.
Yeah, I feel like I did. You know, my nan and granddad, they also have a farm just in between Braidwood and Bungendore, and so
how far is that out of Canberra?
So it's probably about an hour and a half out of Canberra.
Like west, south, or
it's kind of on the way down to Bateman's Bay.
Okay, a bit more south.
Yeah, a bit more south.
We can get a map up because a lot of people probably won't know where.
Yeah, we'll get a map up.
But,
so it's it's on the way past Goulburn. You can turn left at Goulburn and travel for about another hour or so. But you know, having that farm as a kid, bro. Oh my god, it was so much fun. You know, as a kid, going down to the farm. They had this little creek down there. They had this massive, you know, water hole where you could go and swim. You know, you would see possums and owls and, you know, wombat holes and, you know, everything. It was so much fun down at the farm, man. And I still go to that farm to this day. And when I go to the farm, I try to stay off my phone as much as I can. Even though there's no reception down there, I try to stay off my phone as much as I can because every time I go down, around 10 or 11 at night, I always go out to look at the stars because they're just beautiful, man. And I feel like that's just that little boy inside me, you know, the old boy coming out.
It's within everyone. You know,
yeah, you know, it's just that little kid who would go around at night time or play with his mates, no phones or technology or anything back in the day. That he just comes out and he just wants to have a great time. And, you know, I've been very lucky to have, you know, my mum and my dad and my auntie all have that same mindset, you know, be adventurous, you know, always having a good time. And, you know, it's when we're all together, it's family first, you know. So I've been very privileged to grow up in that adventurous environment. It's turned me into the man I am today, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Well,
but that doesn't also, you know, I've had a lot of challenging experiences as well. You know, I've been to
growing up
three different primary schools, and then a brand new setting. So first primary school, I went to was St. John Vianney's over in Western Creek. And so that was a Catholic co-ed primary school. And so I met a lot of my friends I thought I was going to be in school with the whole time. Yeah. Down at St. John Vianney's, you know, and in year 3, a lot of the boys moved to the private school Morris Brothers. So they usually get the kids when they're young, take them over and, you know, get them into sport and science and, you know, it's one of those big private schools in Canberra. Yeah. So in year 3, all of the boys usually go there and, you know, my mum and dad were talking to me about it. I kind of remember little conversations about, like, should we put him to Morris or should we leave him in a only girl cohort? You know, so it was, I mean, I wouldn't be complaining if that was now. But, you know, back then, you know, it was, I mean, I've always gone to co-ed schools. And I think it's really good to go to a co-ed school because you learn so much about, girls and how they work and how they think.
Sure, I
Even though
didn't.
they're still complicated as shit, you still get a little bit of an understanding. I know a lot of guys who go to private guys schools who, out at like nightclubs and stuff. They can
They
get very
don't know how
awkward
to
about
talk to
approaching
girls.
a girl
Oh,
or talking
yeah.
to girls.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact. That's just what it is. So I've been very privileged to grow up in a co-ed system. Anyway, so in year three, I decided with my parents that we were going to move to a different school called Curtin Primary School, and that's where I met my mates who I'm still mates with today now. You got Ben Morgan, you got Frosty.
Shout out to the boys. Shout out to the boys.
Shout out to the boys. You got Chalker, you got Samir, you got all of the boys, man. And, I love them so much. And we've been through, when Minecraft was first breaking out onto the scene together.
Bro, like 2011, 2012. Oh, dude.
Yeah, man, that's it. And I mean, so I went to that school, didn't really know anyone at all. So I was coming into a brand new environment. Everyone kind of had already formed their friendship groups and their circles.
Were you one of those guys who made friends quite easily? Were a bit, put himself out
kind
there?
of back then when I was a little bit on the chubbier side, wasn't as confident as I was now. It was kind of a little bit challenging for me to, fit in. So I was trying to fit in with certain groups. So
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, I was like hanging out with, the not so nice kids at Curtin Primary School, trying to fit in, trying to be cool, and then realize, it just wasn't the right fit because I was always, sagging behind, or no one would talk to me, or they'd make me do the stupid stuff, and then I would get in trouble or feel bad for it. So the first couple of months was a little bit challenging, but then I eventually found a group of boys and girls who were just on my same level, man. And like I said, I'm still friends with them to this day. And it's really awesome to still have that connection, like maybe 60 years down the track and say, oh, I remember I've been friends with these guys for 50 years. We were friends in year 4 and 5 and still really close friends, and so it's really awesome. And so straight away they were just so welcoming. Well, it wasn't straight away. After a couple of months of realizing I was in the right group, they were so welcoming. And yeah, so that was a group in Curtin Primary, and I had a blast there, man. Like that was my favorite primary school by far. It was funny because it was a public school as well, so I went Catholic and then public again. And then
What's the
straight
difference?
after,
Was the difference noticeable?
not at all, man. Like kids will be kids. When you're in a Catholic school as a kid, it's really really not that.
I feel like primary schools, it's not really much of a difference.
Yeah, primary school isn't that different. I mean, like we would have to say prayers and do religion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the public school wasn't that different, man. And then after 2 years at Curtin Primary School and absolutely loving it, my dad he got a promotion in his job up to Sydney. So, I'm not sure how long it took them to try and break the news to 2 kids who are loving the life in Canberra. But I would just say I did not take it well at all. When, we decided to actually move to Sydney, it was just hell. I know I went to a cricket camp, the Don Bradman cricket camp for a week while, my parents were moving everything up just to, try get away from, the move. Like I just hated it. I despised it. I never wanted to come to Sydney. I didn't want to leave Canberra, all my family and all my friends. And it was really hard, It was
It's like
really
starting a
hard
new life, yeah.
Well, it was because we knew absolutely no one in Sydney. We had no family in Sydney. Everything we knew was down in Canberra. And it was so tough to, move away from your whole family, like your grandparents, your aunties, your uncles on both sides, all your friends in primary school that you see every day. It was so hard to move away from them and go to Sydney where absolutely no one or anything at all. And I know that I started primary school at Annandale North Public School, and that was very hard for me, man, because by the time you get to year 6, everyone's formed their friendship groups, everyone knows each other, everyone gets into their certain circles, and the girls do and the boys do, blah, blah, blah. So having this kid coming up from Canberra in year 6 to try, get into this new school and find new friends, it was terrible. It took me so long to find new friends. I remember trying to fit in. I was a library monitor, like I would be in the library at recess and lunch stacking books with the library ladies. And shout out to the library ladies. That was so lovely to me. But it took me a while, to settle in and find proper friends. And, going home after that to just, our brand new Sydney house, our little terrace house. We came from a massive block of land in Canberra to moving into a shoebox in Sydney. It took a lot of getting used to, but no, I eventually found my friends because thank God I was sporty, and so being sporty and super competitive, I was able to fit in, with the sporty kids and have at least something in common rather than nothing at all. So, I'll always be thankful to me being able to play, basketball and water polo and stuff, and just being a little bit sporty, because doesn't matter where I went, people would play sport, and that was always something I'd have in common with people. That really helped me fit in, especially moving through all those different primary schools and having all these different experiences, man.
Yeah, man. So it's good though at the end of the day that you've kept in touch with your Canberra mates, because I've found, especially for me, that all the boys I went to primary school with, none of them, except maybe like one or two, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all my friends that I have now are ones I made at Rosebank, ones I made in high school. So it's always nice to have those friends you can kind of recollect on those memories with.
Well, I mean, it really is, because every time it's kind of funny. Like we have a little joke and stuff sometimes when I go down. It's like, I remember vividly being at my friend Ben Morgan's house when Minecraft first came out, and me and him just playing like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is the best thing we've ever seen.
It was amazing. Yeah,
it was incredible when it first came out. And so sometimes we joke, we went from the best friends in year 4, to operating Minecraft and eating brownies and cookies, to now going to parties and nightclubs and drinking. That's how long our friendship has lasted.
Yeah.
It's
how mad is
cool
that?
to think that?
Yeah,
it is. And we keep in contact, and every time I go down, I have an awesome group of friends that I go to. So I'm very privileged to have friends in my life now in Sydney, but also friends in my old life down in Canberra too.
You got the best of both worlds, man. That's awesome.
I know, man. I've got the best of both worlds, and my family has just been absolute gems. In that whole moving situation, trying to deal with the emotional male going through puberty in year 6. It would have been absolute hell. But we go down to Canberra all the time to see the family and aunties and little cousins on both sides of the family.
Beauty.
Mom's side of the family is a little bit smaller, so you got Nan, Bruce, Auntie Mandy, our 2 little cousins, and then Mum, obviously. And then Dad's side is just huge. We'll put a photo up to show the difference, but it's just absolutely huge. It's definitely the Irish genes, man.
The Irish genes?
That's what it is. Yeah. Irish genes, man. That's what it is. But no, I love the family, man, and we stay in contact all the time. But yeah, man, it's awesome. So that's kind of what it was like for me growing up. Very privileged. To have all that adventurous, be able to be a scout, love being outside, love mountain biking.
So you really put yourself out there as a kid. You kind of did a lot of things growing up.
I mean, I just loved having the availability to do whatever I wanted outdoors, and I've also been very lucky to have traveled to a lot of places when I was younger as well. So I started traveling when I was, I'd probably say like 6 or something like that. We've been.
What was your favorite place you went to?
It's very tricky because, we've been to so many places already. We've been to Samoa, Fiji, we've been to America, we've been to Europe, different parts of Western Australia and Australia, New Zealand. We've been all over the place, man. And I feel like having a lot of that travel under my belt has given me a lot of life experience and perspective about how other people live.
For sure, man.
Like I remember going over to America in 2015 or 16.
So this was before exchange. Yeah,
before exchange. I did a trip with my family to America, and bro, I didn't realize homelessness is such a big problem in America. You would just see people be sleeping on the street everywhere, and I was like, damn, like people think that America's glamorous and it's the big money states and that's where everything's all good, but homelessness is a huge problem there, and also like going to Fiji and Samoa as a kid, seeing how the people live there, very simply, but there's so much happiness and joy in those countries. I can't thank my parents enough to, be able to
give you
say,
that.
being able to travel everywhere, I've been very privileged, man. So that was kind of like the upbringing, man. Very adventurous, going out and doing active stuff, meeting people. That's why being stuck inside in this lockdown is so frustrating because I'd love going out and doing things, man.
Well, yeah, man, you bought a mountain bike the other day, so
Yeah, yeah. I bought a mountain bike. I've been riding everywhere. I've got
Ron
my
taught
P's and
me how to
everything.
ride it.
Yeah, yeah. I taught about how to ride the bike as well. But no, man, I'm very lucky to have that adventurous side in me. I don't know if it would have been different if I grew up in Sydney or not, but yeah, Canberra always been my home, and yeah, I love it immensely, dude.
So you'd say you're a country boy at heart.
At heart, I'm a country boy, dude. I'm a country boy living in the big smoke, man.
Yeah.
And obviously, I love my life in Sydney, and starting high school in Sydney, it was kind of a brand new chapter, a whole new chapter. I'm going to a new high school where no one knows each other. So I kind of already knew how I was going to approach it because I've already been to so many schools already. So and people had absolutely no idea who I was. So I could have a clean slate and start again. And that would be the start of my proper Sydney life. So yeah, man, I feel like I'm a country boy living in the city still.
Mate, I've got the complete opposite because I've always been a city boy. You know what I mean?
That's it. What was your experience like growing up, dude?
Yeah, man. So I was born in the Mater Hospital. I believe that's in North Sydney. So thereabouts, close to the water. I spent the first year or so of my life at a place called Cremorne Pointe. So Cremorne Pointe is one of the very nicer parts of Sydney, right on the water, right in the city. I was very, very lucky. My family, especially on my dad's side, very, very wealthy. Had worked very hard for themselves and reaped the rewards. So, my dad, a hard worker when he was young as well, had nice property and stuff like that. He still owns the place in Cremorne, but we moved when I was young. So all my childhood memories are in this house here in Wahroonga. So Wahroonga is in the northern part of Sydney, I guess you could say, kind of further away from the city, a little bit tucked inside, 45-minute drive from the city. Beautiful big houses, large block of land. But then again, growing up, as a 2-year-old kid, I got something called encephalitis. So, something to do with your brain inflamed or something. So growing up, that affected my fine motor skills. My parents were very protective over me because, if I did anything like, hit my head again, I could be in serious damage.
Different story.
Yeah, exactly. So, growing up, I wasn't as adventurous, and I don't blame my parents because, they were obviously, very protective. They tried to get me to do these things, but it was a bit risky, things like riding bikes. Yeah, I told Rowan, I learned how to ride a mountain bike quite literally the other day with him because, obviously this thing that I had when I was a kid, it's like gone now. But growing up, my parents, they wouldn't want me to hurt myself or potentially, could be life threatening. So, I had a very good childhood though. Very nice house. Went to an all boys school though. So
how was that, man? Because obviously I had a completely different experience to go into an all boys school.
Yeah, very different, man. I could notice it when I went obviously to Rosebank in year 8, which was co-ed. Very, very different, man. I mean, I went to Knox Grammar, which is one of the very kind of elite private schools in Sydney, if you know. My dad went there. My whole family went there, really. My very, very well-known names, the Roach family at Knox. My dad captained the first 11 cricket team. My uncle on the board there for a number of years and stuff like that. I didn't fit in there, man. Didn't fit in there at all. I got bullied a bit there. Just wasn't my place. But at that same time, my dad was working at another school, Sydney Grammar, which is very kind of intellectual school in Sydney as well, quite, elite. My dad ran cadets there in the high school. So yeah, people don't know my dad's was in the Royal Air Force for 20 years or 17 years there or rather. So he ran cadets at Sydney Grammar, but I made the move to Sydney Grammar in halfway through year 3. So Knox wasn't my thing, as much as I wish it wasn't my thing. That school was crazy now. They got their own cafe in year 12 and everything.
Oh, bro,
I think the year's got 400 kids or something. It's fucked, dude.
They have buses that have to take kids around the campus to get to class. It's that big.
And that's at King's as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, both of those schools.
Yeah. Anyway, these are, if you don't know, if you guys don't live in Sydney, because I know a lot of you guys are watching overseas, these are like the best of the best schools in Sydney. So I moved to Sydney Grammar. absolutely adored the primary school, man. It was crazy, you know. Like I've never really been that smart of a kid, but that school really helped build my confidence and move, you know, kind of put myself out there. You know, I was, you know, in the cricket team, you know, played soccer, played plenty of sport. A lot of people don't know, but I did a lot of acting when I was young. I was, you know, very, very confident kid. Lead role in the school plays and all that kind of stuff.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that either. I can put some photos up or whatever, but and maybe some videos as well.
Opposite to me, bro. You were the confident little guy. I
wasn't. Yeah, man. I really was, man. And
where do you think that came from? Like, where do you think all that confidence as a kid came from? Because I know a lot of kids aren't very confident in putting themselves out there into different things.
Dude, my teachers, man. Yeah. I'll never forget Miss Wheatley, who was my drama teacher in year 5 and 6. Dude, she completely changed my confidence. So she was my drama teacher going the whole way through, actually. And you know, I was you know, a bit of a quiet kid, I guess, growing up, but you know, that extroverted part of me was always there, and that really kind of came out when I was doing drama and that side of things. So yeah, very, very grateful for that. Great experience. Really, really enjoyed my primary school. Shame that I don't stay in touch with as many people there now, though, because you know, it's at the end of the day, it's a very intellectual school. You know, if we're talking ATARs, you know, Sydney Grammar averaging a 98 ATAR or whatever, something like that. It's if we're talking that, it's very, very high. Yeah. And me, an average student, you know, I didn't really fit in with the rest of the crowd. So I was doing well in primary school, but then again, you don't really have that pressure on you. And then you moved to high school, and I did year 7, and I absolutely hated it. Like, it's funny how you can be at the same school, but you know, the change from primary to high school is crazy. You see, the massive change. You know, there's so much pressure in terms of how you go with marks and everything, and it just wasn't my thing, man. So you know, I really, really wasn't enjoying it. I told my parents that.
So how did Rosebank come into the conversation? Because I know Knox is way up north for the people who don't know, and then Sydney Grammar's kind of off to the east near the beaches and stuff. So how did Rosebank come into the conversation?
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
Being as a school in the inner west.
Yeah, so obviously I went to Knox because Knox is in like Wahroonga, so it's very, very local. If we're talking Sydney Grammar, the primary school, they've got 2 campuses. So one on Edgecliff, which is like in the city, Paddington, and then one up where I live in St Ives, which is a couple suburbs away. So primary school was always quite convenient. And then obviously I had to move to the city at Sydney Grammar in year 7, which was a trip, but at the same time my dad worked there. So, you know, I just went with him on the, he drove me every single day because he was there anyway. So Rosebank came in the conversation though because of this. So my dad's godmother is a principal at one of the public schools, the primary schools, and that is a feeder school for Rosebank, one of the ones in the inner west. Right. So yeah, you know, my sister as well, you know, like obviously you guys may know I have a sister as well, an older sister, Elise. And she went to Abbotsleigh, so she was there, and that's an all girls private school as well. So we really grew up in like the elite private school,
the complete opposites, and girls, you know, all girls and all boys.
All girls and all boys, right? And she didn't mind it there, but you know, she was up for something new, and especially me, mate. I had a terrible year 7. Yeah. I was really kind of up for a change, so that came into the conversation with, you know, my godmother, and you know, Rosebank's a great school, you know, and massive shout out to Mr. Galea who let me in, because I mean Rosebank is an incredibly hard school to get into.
People are on the waiting list like when they're born, you know, they put on the waiting list.
You know, not like an elite private school or anything, you know, it's just an incredible school, and I gotta like from my experience and Rowan's experience, we can say that. You know, ever since I joined, man, you know, it's crazy. It was kind of like a revelation. Oh fuck, like co-ed school, this is so scary, mate. I loved it.
What? Girls exist?
Girls exist. But I was always, you know, having an older sister, I knew how to manage it. But
true.
But yeah, it was drastic, man. Like as you were saying, you know, people in all boys schools, they don't really know how to manage themselves when it comes to the real world, and sometimes like they can be very intelligent, but you know, you have to work with women, you know,
that's very true.
When you're out in the corporate world. So yeah, I'm very lucky I had that experience. You know, some of my closest friends now are women, and like, man, I'm incredibly grateful for that as well.
That's it. I mean, it's kind of funny to think that we've had like completely different and opposite childhoods. You know, I was this adventurous kid growing up down in Canberra, went to 3 different primary schools, and then moved up to Sydney, and then you went to these private boys' schools and, had a
very different.
Yeah, very different.
That could have been you,
background
though.
to us.
You could have made the switch to the private school, but, you didn't. And
Exactly right.
I'm sure it worked
very
out well.
grateful that I didn't as well.
We probably would have never met each other if that wasn't the case. So
That's kind of the thing, it's really what trips me out is that maybe what happens if I never moved to Sydney or didn't go to Rosebank?
Yeah.
Or, I didn't do one other thing in the past.
It's crazy
that
how
would mean our
one
paths
single
didn't cross.
choice can affect a million different outcomes.
Yeah, maybe I said, no to chicken dinner, when I was six years old, which changed the path of my life. Now, who knows?
It sounds stupid, but it's actually possible.
It is.
You never know what could have happened. Yeah, exactly.
That's what's so crazy. That's why I think that, when you meet people and people come to your life, they come to your life for a reason, whether that be temporary or they come in to your life for a long time. So I think, when you do have people come into your life, I was telling this to Pat the other night when we were having a walk around the Bay Run.
Yeah.
Be a reliable person and be nice. Because you never know when that person might come down later in your life. You might need them for help down the line, or maybe they have some family overseas where you could ask, where are some great spots to travel that you tourists do, or they might be a business partner, and if you were not nice or a dickhead to them way back when, well they're just not going to help you out in the future.
Exactly.
So it's always good to be reliable and be nice to everyone you meet, and that advice is given to you free from John Purnell, my grandfather,
the big fella.
He's been saying that to me since I was literally like a little squirm.
It's crazy though, mate, reliability is so important. I didn't realize that until after I kind of left school and I started working. I was like, mate, you have to be on time to things. As long as you show you care, they don't care about the rest. Talent comes before reliability, in my opinion.
Yeah, man.
Talent comes after reliability. If you're on time to things, if you show that you care, that speaks volumes in the world, especially in the working world. Yeah. Oh yeah,
100%, man. And it's so important, I think, to people to realize, be reliable. If you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. Because I find people frustrating when they say, I'll be at yours at 2.
Be a doer, not a sayer.
2:30 or 2:45. I'm ready at 2. Come at 2, or have dinner reservations for 7:30. Obviously, you can be fashionably late. That's fine. But if you're half an hour late, come on. No, come on. I know there was this Big Bang episode where obviously Bang. Sheldon and Raj and
the guy
Sheldon,
who looks
Raj,
he looks like the
Leonard and Howard.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He looks like Brian Gill, the football player. You won't know what he looks like, but I'm gonna.
No, but it's funny because I found the episode quite funny because Penny was hosting this Halloween party, and she said, what time? They were like, what time should we come over? And she was like, well, the party starts at 7, so cool. And so they walked across the corridor in all their Halloween costumes, and they knocked on the door, and they're like, Penny, sorry I'm late. And she's like, it's 7:05, and they're like, yeah, I know, that's why we're apologizing. Like, well, nobody's here yet. And then they're like, well, that's weird because the party started at 7. And she was like, yeah, but people usually come around 8 or 9. And I was like, oh my God.
That's how parties work though, especially at our age. It's come at 7. No, come at 9.
That means 8:30.
At least with our friend Jude, come at 7. No, 11 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
11.
Yeah. Jude is notorious for that. But with that, I reckon let's tell the people how did we meet? How's our story grown, man?
So I think we actually may have mentioned this on a prior podcast briefly, but I mean, be in mind, going into Rosebank, I knew one. I knew no one. I knew one person, Apollo, in the year above me. Shout out to Apollo, because I played cricket with him. But he wasn't in my year. So going into my year group, I knew absolutely nobody. So quite a scary thing, not knowing your way around school. You're in year 8, everybody's already made their friend groups and settled in, and you're kind of this new kid, and it's like, who's this new kid? So I joined my maths class. Don't know my way there, but
well, especially in high school, everyone. Well, when there's a new kid, everyone gets so inquisitive. They're like, there's this new kid.
Yeah.
He didn't start year 7 with us. Who's that? What?
It's a big deal as well. You feel like the center of attention as well, which is kind of good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it was a good opportunity. I guess in a way, it sounds weird. Being year 8 and being the only kid to join a school, rather than being in year 7 and not knowing anyone, is actually better, because in year 7, people were going to hang out with their they're people they know from their primary school and stuff like that.
Very true.
But being year 8, it's like, well, you're the center of attention, so the people just kind of come to you. And this is a prime example of how Rowan and I met, because, you know, I joined my maths class. I'm like the last one to enter. I sit down at the front of the class, and then Rowan gets up and he sits next to me and he introduces himself. And I literally knew nobody. So it's kind of funny because, you know, obviously throughout high school, Rowan and I we're not like, you know, extremely close friends, but it's funny looking back at, you know, how close we are now, and the fact that he was the first person to actually, you know, kind of you know, say hi to me and welcome me, and kind of just speaks volumes for the person you are, mate, you know?
Well, I mean, it goes to show with what I was talking about before. Say, you know, well, that happened in year 8 maths class, right? You know, I came up, introduced myself, made you feel a little bit better. Say if we never became best friends or anything, and you came down, you know, in my life later down the road, whether that be in business or I needed you for something. Well, what impression would you have on me?
An incredible impression. Just that first impression.
That one maths class impression where, you know, I knew no one at this school, but, you know, he took the time out of his day, you know, to come up to me, say hi, and sit next to me and make me feel better. You know what? He's a good person.
I'm going to treat him
one
well.
experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. So I do remember, you know, I was back in year 8. I was a bit of like, you know, the class clown. I was getting a little bit confident because I'd lost all this weight from playing.
Bit of a jackal. You loved it.
Literally, from playing like water polo and sport and everything like that. You know, so I remember coming up to Pat because I knew what it was like to be the new kid. You know, I went to 3 different primary schools. You know, I knew what it was like with people already have friendship groups and coming in not knowing anyone at all. So I was like, you know what, I might go and help him out. So that's where I guess this started, guys. In that year 8 math class.
Yeah, it did, genuinely. And, you know, I always looked at Rowan as, that kid's like, he's a genuinely nice kid and you know, cares for other people. And regardless if we weren't friends now or whatever, just because you made that good first impression, like, I'm always going to think of you that way, you know what I mean? So first impression is incredibly important, because you might only meet somebody once, and then, you know, 5 years down the line you might meet them again, but, you know, they have that good first impression of you and they're going to want to help you out. So
that's totally right, man. And it's funny how you know, friendship has blossomed. You know, obviously in school we weren't best friends. Like we were friends and we knew of each other, and, you know, we hung out in the same group a little bit later. But, you know, it's kind of funny that it didn't actually blossom till right after school. You know, after school finished, and we realized, you know, which friends are real and which friends aren't real, you know, because trust me, guys, after you finish school, you realize the friends that just stick around because you guys see each other every day. And then you also realize the friends that, you know, stick around because they like you as a person and they want to have you in their life.
And it's not having a go at anybody who just goes their separate ways. It's just how life works.
Not at all.
You know,
it is. You know, people have different goals, different things they want to achieve, and people just go off. You know, I'm already excited for the school reunion in 15 years.
So am I, man.
Or whatever it
is. And that's why I'm really grateful at the end of the day that I joined Rosemate, because I know that you know, these people who I'm friends with now, I share a common ground with. You know, I feel like I'm not trying to shaping myself to kind of to fit in with them. Whereas, you know, if I stayed at my old school, you know, I probably would be a completely different person as to what I am now, but I wouldn't be genuine. So I'm grateful that I joined a school that actually kind of helped me blossom into the person that I feel like I genuinely am, you know what I mean?
I agree. Because I think that for me, obviously, you know, having to go through all these changes in schools when I was younger, I was always trying to change, you know, my personality, myself to try and fit in. I was always changing myself to fit in.
And that's not a bad thing. Well, I mean, it's just, it's a completely normal thing, because when you're young, you know, you want to feel approved by other people. Like, you know, as we were talking about last podcast, you know, older people, right? You know, they're established their opinions. They don't care what people think of them. But, you know, when you're young, you know, a lot of people just want to be approved by other people around them. They want to fit in. So, you know, of course, it's very normal to shape your personality to fit in. And I'm sure, you know, changing schools so many times was like, you know, fuck, what have I got to do to fit in now with this group? Do I have to act this way? You know, so what was that like for you, especially?
Well, I think having changed a lot of schools, you know, trying to change the personality they already had, and, you know, my own morals, and like trying to change myself in each school was very difficult. But I think coming into high school, I might not have been conscious of it, but I think it had a bit of a burden on me, you know, trying to, first of all, find the right friendship group, but then also each year, you know, you go into different classes with different people. So you get different, groups of friends, and then you mold your personality to those friends.
Definitely.
And I think that because I've changed my personality so much, I've only like really become content with, myself, and like I've really understood like what I really am and what my personality is, like end of year 12, and probably after school, I don't know what it is, but I'm happy with the man I've grown up to be,
Of course.
to become. But I think during school, I would always change, and whether that be I'd have a different personality with teachers. Certain teachers have different
In high school as well.
Yeah, with different friendship groups and certain people. I'd be, I'd be the class clown in this class, but then I'd go to this class, and this teacher thinks I'm like a hardworking student, and stays quiet, does my work all class, and then I'd around these people I would try to be a bit cooler, blah blah. Around this group, it'd be different. So I feel like I was always changing, and I don't think I realized who I really was until end of year 12 and after school, really.
And you know what? I'm the exact same. And that's just completely normal, because, you want that approval, and you want people to think a certain way of you. It's just how it works, in my opinion.
And I think high school breeds that, because I know from personal experience that, with a lot of teachers, I had a certain reputation. Whether that be, he's a hardworking kid, he does his work and he gets good marks. And so when I had that reputation of, with some teachers, obviously not all teachers, every teacher had their different opinion, but with a lot of teachers, look, the teachers that I like, I'm good with, I'll be a good guy in class. I listen to them. I appreciate them. The teachers who aren't the nicest, I'm not going to name, but the teachers who like aren't the nicest, that's when I turn a little bit rebellious. And I think everyone does, really. Like when you get a teacher that's a bit annoying or you don't like, you turn rebellious. But if you have a teacher that you really like, then you're going to listen, work hard, and try to get good marks. Yeah. So I feel like with the teachers who I had a good reputation with, and then I didn't meet that reputation, I would really disappoint myself, and it would have an effect on me. And I thought that they would think that I'm not up to their reputation and I'm not good enough. And so I was always chasing and always changing, man, all throughout high school. And obviously I wasn't going to tell anyone about it. Didn't really tell anyone about it because there's no point, it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, you'll get through it. You'll be fine. But like looking back, I've definitely realized how much I did change. But I think I've realized that because I've become the person that, I feel like I want to be and have.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we said, mate, like how we perform in school, whether it be intellectually or even just the way how we act, is not a reflection of who we are now.
Trust me, I did not perform well in school, guys.
Yeah, but that's not a reflection of what you're capable of or anything. It's not a reflection of anything, because some amazing people out there like Bill Gates and stuff. Didn't he? Like
Albert Einstein
and stuff like that.
Dropped out of school.
Exactly, and sometimes it's a game of luck, with what you get with your teachers and the cards that you've drawn. But just be aware that the way how you perform in school, the friends that you make, whether they're true friends or not friends, it's not the be all and end all. And there's always people out there that you're going to come across at one point in your life that it's going to be difficult. But I feel like that's one thing that I guess school kind of built us both up for, is that we had the experiences, the good experiences and the bad experiences, and I guess we know how to deal with them better now as men and adults.
Yeah, man. I think for me, high school it's I don't know if many other people think like this, but I think it's bad. I don't like the whole idea of high school because they put so much pressure on kids that are so young and say, look, if you don't perform well in this test or this exam, or if you don't perform well in your HSC, then the rest of your life is going to be a failure. If you don't go to uni, you're a failure. And they put so much pressure on kids who they're literally fetuses in the world. They haven't experienced the world at all, the business side.
Well, but both of us, we didn't even know what we wanted to do. You know what I mean?
No. Oh no, man. And I think that's the thing that annoys me a lot, is that the high school system puts so much pressure on these young kids to do so well, when in actual fact, if you fail your HSC, it doesn't have an effect on the rest of your life. I've had that from, first-hand experience. I've worked all these different jobs, and not one of them was asked what your ATAR was or how you did in your HSE.
In fact, one of them, they wanted people with a certain degree or whatever, and you just went to them and explained the story. Actually, it was quite a very interesting story.
Yeah. I mean, I was working as a tradie. I was doing carpentry, and I was doing different labouring jobs and bits and bobs, and I thought I'd try something different, and so I reached out to this business consulting firm who was hiring. And in the interview, it said like, I have a bit of experience, whatnot, and I went to the interview, and I saw these people who, were in their 20s and had different, sales degrees and marketing degrees and everything like that, and I was a kid fresh out of high school, and so I went to the job into the job interview, and they were like, "Oh, so what qualifications do you have?" Like blah blah, and I was like, "Look, I'm gonna be like completely honest with you. I finished my ATAR last year, and I've just been working. I finished my HSC last year. I've just been working this year, and putting my foot in different bits and pieces, to try to challenge myself and get some new skills. But the key characteristics for me is that I'm determined, I'm willing to learn, and if you guys want to teach me, then by all means teach me. And I think that's a lot of things that employers look at. They look at your character to see, is this person genuine? Are they a nice person? Can they fit in? Tick that box. See, I didn't have any degrees or anything fancy, but I came in with a willingness to want to learn the skill that they're experts at, and they eventually picked me for the role, and it just goes to show that you don't need these fancy degrees. Obviously, if you want to go into uni and get your degree, by all means do that. But just with this story and my personal experience, people don't judge people from
how they perform in school
books and their performance and their degrees and everything. Whenever I meet a new person, I'm not like, oh, did you go to uni? What did you study? Oh, you studied science. Oh, well, get out. I don't want to be your friend. I don't do that. When I meet someone brand new, I ask about, have they traveled different places, what school they went to, and that's how people judge each other, by character and, by feeling. If you feel like this person's a good person, then, you're going to appreciate them much more. So, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that, you don't need a degree or diploma to do something great. Pat and I, we've started this podcast. Both of us aren't in uni at the moment. We're working multiple different jobs.
People will say, like, oh yeah, you got no life experience. What are you supposed to give? Blah, 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 blah. Well, I mean, we're just putting ourselves out there, gaining new perspective. And, that's what all we care about at the end of the day is just enjoying ourselves. There's a passion there. All right, why not? I'm going to give it a crack. So that's our attitude toward things, get things done.
Exactly. And for everyone who's listening, if you're passionate about something, go do it. Go do what you're passionate about. I know for myself, I'm passionate about basketball and sport. I train my ass off all the time to try to get better and better and better. If your passion's art, keep painting. Maybe create an Instagram page for your art page. Yeah. Keep putting yourself out there and keep doing the things you're passionate about.
I can say this firsthand, man, like 100%. Don't let other people or the way how you think other people will judge you affect the choices that you make. Because as a kid growing up, I had acting places and schools approaching me for my acting. I entered high school and I had massive anxiety. Like, just everything changed. Year 7 changed me. Started, having panic attacks and being anxious of everything. And, I stopped acting completely. And I've never ever done it really again since, and I want to try get back into it. But, just because of when I was young, I let other people impact my choices and stuff like that. So if you guys are growing up and, you think people are going to judge you based on your choices and or whatever, it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. At the end of the day, people actually respect you, like when I started a YouTube channel, people ridiculed me, and now people look back and, I've made money from it. I've been successful, I took a little break from it, but, I've overall been successful. People actually look back at me now and they say, you know what, that's mad what you've done. Because, at the start, people will always try to do anything to beat you down, but it's not actually, at the end of the day, you just have to be selfish and chase your own dreams.
Exactly right. And I mean, that's the thing, when your parents had a baby, they had no idea the person you were going to turn into.
No way.
And what your goals and passions are, but they still love you for who you are. because they're imparting their own morals onto you. And, morals are so important. Anthony said, what's the other week, that, our morals are like, they're like the roots of the tree, and then we form around those morals that our parents impart onto us. And so that's the thing, like, your parents had no idea who you're going to be, but they still love you. Well, when I meet a new person, I have no idea who they are. So why am I going to judge them on, what other people have said, or, different videos or whatnot? Even if I've never met them, why would I judge them off another person's opinion? So
yeah, 100%, man. That's spot on.
That's it. So I mean, that's kind of our childhoods, our stories, how we met.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess we haven't really talked about high school yet, but I mean, we've kind of briefly talked about our high school experience before. It was fucking great, man.
It was awesome.
It was awesome. I had a lot that I went through during high school. I was like moving out of home at 17 and stuff like this. It was quite daunting, and a lot of kids don't have that experience, but school was my safe haven. I'd go to school every day and I'd be like, fuck, I have the best group of mates. I can talk to these teachers about my life. Like, I have teachers that I had literally who taught me. I didn't even know anything about them, their own life, who I could go to just to talk about like my life, or tell them, so on and so forth or whatever. And like, never be afraid to reach out to your teachers, because a lot of the time, you might think, oh yeah, this teacher's a so-and-so, this teacher's a bitch or whatever. But actually when you're especially older, like in year 11, year 12 or whatever, get to know your teachers, because, a lot of the time they've got to put on this, persona to, at the end of the day, they're looking after kids, right? But, they
are people as well.
They are people as well. So, I'm very grateful for that as well. I could shout out to many teachers at school, Mr. Scalia, Miss Tillett, they're just to name a few, great teachers, and really, really had an impact on my life. So yeah, my high school experience was very good. I had a lot of tribulation, but wouldn't have met, those people. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, high school, it's different for everyone. Everyone has a different experience of high school, whether that be a great experience or, a not so good experience, but all those experiences that everyone has shapes the person that you're going to become outside of high school. Like I can look back and, see all the dumb shit I did in high school, getting suspended for certain things. But
don't let those negative experiences shape the person that you are. No way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, everyone has done dumb shit. My parents have done dumb shit. Your parents have done dumb shit. No, that's just part of teenagehood, because you're not as aware and, of the risks that, can't come in front of you. And so you can make poor decisions. Yeah. And all those different things. I did it. I can vouch for that. I know Marcus has done it. You guys know Marcus. He's done it about 3 significant times in high school. Yeah. But, it's kind of funny because you can look back now and laugh at those things, because through all those things, you gained experience from it. You're like, you know what? Maybe I did stuff up on this one thing, but now I know that if I do that, that's going to have a consequence, so I'm not going to do it again. So everything you do, you might not realize it just now, but everything you do will, impart wisdom on your experience when you grow up.
Yeah, 100%. Whether it's good or bad. In fact,
whether it's good or bad.
I think, the greatest experience are often from the worst ones in the moment. I guess that makes sense,
Yeah.
I guess, I wouldn't grow into the person who I am now if, and I'm still growing, obviously, but if I didn't go through all these things, if I was just given everything on a silver platter growing up, I wouldn't have learnt what it was like to go through those tough periods. So it's all right, guys. All right to go through the struggle, but just remember that, it always gets better. Always.
Well, I mean, for me, I think that this is my own personal belief. I think that if you fail, the growth from failure is so much greater. Say if you, I don't have a problem with people who aim high and miss, but I have a problem with people who aim low and hit. Because I think, say, whether that be, going up to a 10 out of 10 in a club or, you're aiming for, 95% or 98% in your maths exam, or, trying to get MVP of your team or MVP of the competition, right? Aim high. If you aim high and miss, that's okay, because the amount of growth from that miss to that goal, there's so much growth that can happen in between 100%. That. But if you aim low and miss, if you go to a club and there's like a 2 out of 10, or you say, you know what, or say, you know what, I'm going to get 55% in my maths exam. You know, I'm just going to scrape by and pass.
Yeah.
You know, saying, oh, blah, blah, blah. Aiming low and then hitting, you're really not going to grow. You're not going to challenge yourself.
But you know what,
man.
though, just to add on that, if you are going to aim high, set yourself small goals in between, because if you keep aiming high and keep missing, then you're eventually just going to get demotivated and going to be like, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? But if you aim high and achieve those little goals along the way, you know you're on the right track. So
exactly right.
So if you know, set your goals high, guys, because you don't want to set I want to get 55%, because what are you going to get out of that? You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Yeah, I totally agree, man. But so I hope you guys, you know, have got to know us a little bit more, and you know where we come from and how we are, I guess, how we are.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, no, we had some questions, but most of the questions I got in were actually were on school, essentially, like how high school impacted us, or like our life in high school. So we basically answered your questions without actually questioning them.
That's mad. That's actually sick.
There we go. But I mean, yeah, where from here, I guess, is the question. You know, where do you want to go here from? Like, Ron, what's your aim, man?
So obviously, no, I've had a bit more of a challenging path. You know, I'll have more of a challenging path where I actually want to go in the future. Which is okay. I'm okay with that, because, you know, through having this year off, you know, not going to uni, having all these different jobs, meeting all these different people, you know, it's given me a lot more experience and appreciation of, you know, my life. And so the goal for me is, you know, to go to uni and do a physiotherapy course and, you know, run my own physiotherapy company, or, you know, be a professional physio over in the NBA or for professional sports teams. You know, that's my goal right now. And obviously it'll take a little bit longer to get there, which I'm okay with. You know, uni won't come straight away, and that's fine. But I've always been a worker. I've always been a hustler. So I'm always going to hustle for my goals and the things that I want, and I'll always be on my ass about it. You know, I don't need other people to, you know, be on my ass about certain things. I remember, you know, I had all these water polo trainings at like 5:30 in the morning. You know, and my dad would have to drive me when I didn't have my license, or my mum did, but you know, I was up, first alarm, 5 a.m, bang, I was up, had everything ready for the rest of the day. You know, I hustled. I didn't need people to be on my ass about it, because I'm on my ass, you know, myself. So
goes back to your roots and your morals, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly right. So for me, going forward, that's the goal, and that's what, you know, I'm going to get to, whether that be, you know, 10 years down the line, or whether that be 5 years down the line, I don't know, but that's the goal that I'm going to get to. What about you? What are your aspirations?
Well, my aspiration, okay. Well, next year I'm going to go to Macquarie Uni. I'm going to go back and study psychology. I'm not exactly sure what part of psychology I want to really kind of delve into, but you know, my undergraduate is like 3 years, so I could figure that out later. But it's something that I'm passionate about for sure. And I've given this year to kind of, you know, have different jobs and gain perspective, because, you know, we mentioned it on the other podcast, you know, like I did start uni, I did start psychology, I enjoyed it, but I knew that it wasn't the right time for me. So, you know, now I've had a year to sit back and kind of just, you know, do my thing and you know, work and stuff like that. And I think I want to go into that, but my passion still lies in, you know, this podcast and YouTube and acting. As I said, you know, I've, you know, always been an actor, always been one to love to be on stage, or, you know, would love to be in a movie one day or something like that. So, you know, I'd love to kind of, you know, try get back into that or something. But, you know, I guess at the end of the day, like, I guess at this age, we never really know completely what we're going to do. We're always going to be changing. So I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket at this age. I just want to try different things and see where my passion lies at that specific point. I don't want to have my whole life planned out for the next 30, 40, 50 years in front of me, because I feel like that's just like, it's kind of scary as well. You know, how am I supposed to know as a 19-year-old, a teenager, what I want to completely do for the rest of my life? You know, you don't need to know.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, Pat and I had no idea, absolutely zero idea what we wanted to do out of school. You know, we had no idea about unis or degrees. Well, I didn't anyway. You know, so it's okay not knowing. And I mean, I know a lot of people are, you know, afraid of death and this and that. I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of not knowing. You know, that's something that scares me, is not knowing when I'm going to die, or not knowing if I'm going to go to uni, or not knowing about, you know, a certain girl, or this and that, you know. I hate the uncertainty. I'm I'm a very structured guy. I love structure. I love knowing what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. When
But the
I'm gonna do
uncertainty
something.
is the beauty, man. Because if you expected everything, then how would that make you feel?
To be honest, uncertainty, it's the beauty and the curse, man.
It is.
You know, it's so beautiful to think that you have no idea. Who knows? I could become a billionaire later in my life. Maybe not. Maybe I become the best physio in Australia. Who knows? There's all these. Maybe we become the best podcast in the world, the number one podcast in the world. Right?
Clip this in 10 years, guys. Clip this in 10 years. We are going to become the best podcast in the world.
Literally, but I mean, that's the beauty. It gives you an imagination of what things could be, but then also not knowing as well. Not knowing, maybe tomorrow I die in a car crash, or maybe down the line.
Don't be that pessimistic.
Something bad. No, but seriously, that's. I know that eventually we're all gonna die. That's inevitable. But for me, it's the not knowing when. Yeah. And the uncertainty of, not knowing what's going to happen. And being so young as well, not knowing what's going to happen when I'm in my late 20s, 30s,
But at the end of the
40s,
day,
50s.
you have the choice. You have the choice of what you want to do. And okay, things might work out, might not work out. But, you could wake up tomorrow and be like, I don't want to be a physio anymore. I want to do this. Or, I'm going to start up my own YouTube channel or something like that, just as, So I guess, how are you supposed to know? Everybody's changing every day. We're always gaining new insight. We want to travel, gain perspective from, different people. And that really, we're always growing as a person. We're never like, this is who I am. We're always changing who we are in a better way. I feel like,
I feel like I like and know who I am, but my perspectives and opinions change. I think my morals and who I am. Yeah,
the morals will definitely stay because they're the roots. But the way how you see the world around you is always changing.
They're the branches and the leaves. They're always moving. Some are coming down. The wind moves through them. With the world in such turmoil at the moment. With social media, you hear things from America and England literally in an instant. You hear, the terrible atrocities in Afghanistan and, Africa and everything like that, Everything's always changing. And so I feel like my morals and who I am is solid, but my perspectives and opinions change all the time, especially from starting this podcast, man.
Yeah, exactly. You're not born with perspective. You gain perspective over time. Yeah. So that's what we're doing, I guess, at the moment. Everyone's always doing that. So, yeah, guys, very interesting podcast. We hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I think it's good for you guys to, understand where we come from and who we are, so you can maybe, who knows, understand our opinion a bit better. Yeah. Or, just get to know us a bit more. Yeah. I mean, everyone on the Takin It Easy podcast, we're all friends. We're a massive family. So I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Just a little bit about us. I think it's good to have an episode.
100%. Yeah. And you're always gonna learn more stuff about us. We're on this journey with you guys together. That's it. And that's the beauty of it.
Oh, it is, man. And I'm so glad that we've done this and all you guys can come along, and you guys have been amazing in, supporting us and helping us, get bigger. Without you guys, we wouldn't actually be a proper podcast.
Exactly. With that being said, guys, share the channel to your friends and stuff like that. We want to target this podcast to all ages. It's not a specific, group of people we're targeting it to. We're just two guys out there trying to just speak. That's it.
And change the
world. That's all we're doing. And change the world, that's it, man. So, we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Feel free to listen to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or watch it on YouTube, guys. We appreciate all your support. And we're in the double digits for episodes, man. So we are smashing it.
So exciting. And guys, we have some awesome guests over the next few weeks.
Incredible guests.
One of them is very relevant to the situation that's going on around the world, actually. So make sure to tune in the next few weeks, because we have some big guests planned, and they're going to be awesome podcasts, guys.
We can't wait to see you guys there, guys. Take care. Like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you all next episode.
Sounds good.
Peace.
Stay safe. Ciao, guys.